Hello, welcome to yet another episode of The Digest. My name is Francesca. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, on this week's episode of The Digest, we take you to Mukobeko Maximum Correctional Facility in Kabwe, Central Province of Zambia, where inmates are giving back to the society by creating employment to the locals. The Mukobeko Agricultural Poultry Project MAP is a brainchild of Mathew Mohan, an inmate convicted for the death of Sajid Itowala in 2013, and he was sentenced to death by the High Court. Now, in 2016, President Edgar Lungu commuted some sentences of some inmates, and Mathew Mohan was among those. His sentence was commuted to life imprisonment and later to a 20-year jail term. Mohan has now empowered over 100 women and youths in Kabwe and is planning to do this in 10 other provinces, where he will create a poultry project to empower the locals. Mukobeko Maximum Correctional Facility in Kabwe, Central Province, is the biggest correctional facility in Zambia, hosting over 2,000 inmates, some of whom are facing capital offences. Inmates brought here are entered into reformatory programs as well as skills training to prepare them for reintegration into society in case they are pardoned or discharged. Mathew Mohan is currently serving a jail term, and he shares about how he found himself here.
I think what brought me into prison is corruption. And to me, what brings people into prison is they find themselves in a mess. And with time, a mess turns into a message. It's just a matter of adding AGE to it. And to me, my mess was finding myself in corrupt activities that led to the death of someone. And I think with the process, I've turned it into a message. And a message is what I carry every day. That corruption is bad, it almost killed me. And that was what you call self-realization, getting to understand basically what you are here. Everyone needs to get to understand what they are there for. Whether you're on top, if you're there as a president, you need to understand what you're a president there for. If you're at the bottom, you need to understand what you are there for. So personally I chose to live my life.
The High Court slapped Mohan with a death sentence for the death of Sajid Itowala, but it was commuted to life imprisonment and then later to a 20-year jail term by President Edgar Lungu using his prerogative of mercy. While behind bars, Mohan has embarked on a project to empower inmates as well as the community. How did this idea come about, you may ask?
If today I put you in a cage for 10 years, are you going to say that you will not do any good until you come out? Is life in your hands? It's not in your hands. Life is in God's hands. So if you are given 2 seconds of your time somewhere, you can't spend your time saying, I will only do good when I'm out there. That is a wrong attitude. And I think the country is failing in a lot of areas because people think that you can only do good when you become a politician or you can only do good when you become a chief executive officer. In a little way, wherever you are, just do your best. I'm an example. I sat here, I didn't care where I sit. And I said, look, let me create value where I'm seated. And to me, I'm a proud man that where I'm seated here, I'll be watching a line of people standing, waiting to get a salary from a shackled man. Do you know the excitement that is there? That just changes the game. The dynamics change in life, that freedom is not defined about, the definition of freedom changes. Freedom doesn't define everything. In fact, some people who lack freedom actually could innovate even bigger things. I would quote a famous Nobel Peace Prize winner, the gentleman who set up the bank in Bangladesh for the women. He said, necessity brews innovation. And to me, in a situation where you are in necessity, it just allows you to start thinking things from a different perspective.
So now, what dream did you have when you thought of creating this? What did you want to see? For whom? Were you even doing it for yourself, or for the community, or for the satisfaction, or to keep you busy while you are behind these walls? What was the main motivation?
Every Saturday, Sunday, depending whether you're SDA or Catholic or whatever church, we go to church. We go to church seeking someone who selflessly gave up his life. Yet from Monday to Saturday or Friday, people don't want to be selfless. The motivation to this is Christ's teaching to us. When he was teaching us the Lord's Prayer, he said on, I think, the second or third paragraph to say, "Thou be done on earth as it is in heaven." What is it that you are doing on earth that is in heaven? Are you making this place a better place? Francesca, if today you are to die, what have you done that has turned earth like heaven? Yeah.
If you could tell us probably how you have managed to then get these resources to do this. Tell us how you've managed.
You see, and that's a question I struggle with. I think one of the biggest hindrances that citizens and people around the world are saying, it's all about resources. It's not about resources. First of all, the most important thing is relational capital. Do you know what the value of relational capital is? Francesca, if you relate well with me, I can give you a free bottle of water without paying. Now, what resources did you put in to have a bottle of water as you are going out? Nothing. It's because you relate well with someone. So relational capital is the biggest capital that individuals need to invest in. Jesus was teaching us about relational capital. How do you relate with people? And Jesus has taught us a lot of things. How do you relate with people? Your attitude of gratitude. If you look at the story of the 10 lepers, the first question he asked when one person came to thank him is, "Where are the other 9?" So, through those lessons, you are induced to start looking at life from the perception or the perspective of our Creator. And to me, just because I was brought to condemn, just because a judge pronounced that I'm dead, I'm not dead, I'm alive. This is a story where if people out there are lining up for jobs, people in here are actually lining up to create innovations, to create jobs for those out there. It pains me when we were officially getting this place almost. We had hundreds and hundreds of people lining up here. Can you imagine an inmate interviewing you? "Hello, Francesca, what do you bring to the table? What can you offer us?" And then, and your life is totally dependent on a man who is shackled, a man who is locked. And at the month end, Francesca, you're saying, "I've come for my pay." And you get your pay. The game changes. And you look at life from a different perspective. I think this is an act that should go into the core values of individuals.
Mohan seems like a jovial person, but he also has his low moments.
My lowest moment, losing my dad while in prison. And I lost my dad 2 years ago. And I think that was my lowest moment. You know, where your father spends all his resources to educate you, and then perception that a child should always pay back to the parents, and you find yourself in such a situation. A lot of things go through your mind. You wouldn't understand.
How did he come up with the idea of an agricultural project?
I was in the condemned section, 16 up. And the only small hole that you have is on the door. And you have to look through that hole to see a little part of the sky. I think we've all done biology.
For how long were you in that hole?
3 months. And in biology, we all learned that you look through a microscope, and where you look from is small, but what you see at the bottom is big. I looked at it from that perspective. I turned myself into a microscope to look at things from a bigger perspective. I looked at individuals out there. You get to define humanity from a different perspective, and then you are encouraged, in the Bible to say when Joseph was in prison, he did great things, and our aspiration is to even do better than Joseph. Yeah, Joseph never created employment. We have created employment. So, yeah, we decided to think differently. And that to me is living.
What was the motivation behind the Mukobeko Agricultural Poultry Project?
We set up this project with certain objectives. And the objectives are as follows. The notion out there that inmates do not have value is objective number one, to create value around this individual that is believed not to have value. One thing you should know is that each and everyone who is in prison comes from society. They leave children, wives, fathers, mothers, and relatives. If here's a man who comes incarcerated and is given 20 years of his life to be away from his family, does society take the responsibility to look after their children? Francesca, have you ever paid the school fees of a man who was sentenced to 20 years, yet he has 2 daughters at home? Yet you've incarcerated that man. Are you telling me that that incarceration becomes a burden and those children also get incarcerated? Are you now growing a generation of people that will suffer the consequences of one individual? No. So we just realized that there's a huge gap. And this huge gap is actually a bigger burden to society. Sending someone to jail should be an asset because that person is going to come out better. But the perception that has been there is sending someone to jail is about finishing him. You're not finishing him. You're creating a bigger burden to society. Just for your information, you're paying tax, and that tax I have to feed. Can you imagine? You hate me, yet you're the one paying my meal. What are you doing? So people are not getting the logic of incarceration. People need to understand that incarceration is about transforming an individual to become better. Now, what about those children at home? Those beautiful daughters growing up uneducated because the father is not there to pay the school fees. Unemployed because the father hasn't imparted in them the skills that, wow, is that an asset to society? That's a huge burden. You, Francesca, have never taken the responsibility to pay for the school fees of that man who has been incarcerated, for those 2 children. What have we done? We said, no. Let us create a concept that even if you're a breadwinner out there, when you come in, continue being a breadwinner. I'm proud to tell you that we have 22 inmates on payroll. That these inmates every month are sending something to pay for those schoolgirls. To continue helping society. In fact, we are reducing the burden on you because you are not, in the first place, you are not even paying their school fees. But here is a father who is shackled and chained, working at a project and sending someone to those children, ensuring that their mother stays at home rather than turning into prostitution. That's a story we are creating. And today, I'm proud to tell you that the workers here are from Watch, Sydney Mushanga's constituency, to Tuangurua's constituency, are coming to work here. We are actually reducing unemployment in people's constituencies who are seated incarcerated here. And we have reached a capacity of about 10,000 chickens. We have goats, we have village chickens, we have got incubators that are breeding village chickens. We are intending to build 18 fish ponds at the back. We have an agricultural section here. We have a supermarket here. A supermarket purely indigenous. I'm proud to tell you, we do not sell Coke, Fanta and Sprite. Why? In the midst of incarceration, COVID, if it hasn't taught you people things in society, it has taught people like us in here that it's time to go back to our roots. We're proud to tell you that almost 90% of the products there are indigenously produced. And we are leading that example. We intend to build 20 of these stores across the country to ensure that we can create at least 3,000 to 4,000 jobs for you in society, so that we can help society reduce its own burden by creating that employment for you. And we come from society, and that society is supporting us. We don't go out to sell, they come to buy from us. We've created a value around the product, and we're proud to tell you we have no pressure in the midst of your... In fact, people are even using COVID as an excuse to become unproductive. We have chosen to become productive in the midst of COVID. And unemployment has got huge consequences in the country. And can you imagine when we're interviewing hundreds and hundreds of people and you can only employ 100, and then you have to say no to 300, 400 people, and then you just say, oh my God, is this how much we have a problem? Not in Zambia, in this world. Can you imagine a graduate being interviewed by a company, and this graduate says, I'm not employed, I'm looking for a job, whatever it is.
Asked on how he has managed to cope behind bars, Mohan says imprisonment is the state of one's mind.
There are people out there who are actually more incarcerated than people in it. I'm free. Incarceration is not just about locking up someone. It's about your mind. And here's an example of a mind that cannot be incarcerated. Shackled Man has employed almost 101 employees here. How much more should you be doing out there? You are unshackled. You believe freedom brings all the value around you? Here's an example of lack of freedom and the value it has created out there. And to me, these are challenging moments. And I think we are redefining the definition of freedom. What is freedom? You think freedom has value? Well, I have an example. A lot of people are out there free. They have not even created employment for a housekeeper or a garden boy. Well, here's a shackled man with his team creating 101 jobs here.
He believes in women and youth empowerment, and he says majority of the employees here are women and youth.
So I've thought of empowering the women folk to ensure that they are stable, they're able to sustain themselves and be independent. This dependency syndrome seems to be also a way in which males think that they can abuse their women. But when you have a balanced contribution in a home, that brings respect, and one is not seen to be dependent on the other.
The Digest team spoke to 20-year-old Isaac Samaleso, a civilian who works at this project.
It was quite a good feeling because there's no employment here as income. The only employment which we wait for is our government to employ us through the service. But it really, our map has really brought a change due to the employment level, and they're teaching us a lot of things. I would just like to encourage my fellow youths to work hard, and they should not discriminate the inmates, seeing that they are inmates. They are just people like us, and they're even helping out. As you can see, we didn't have employment, now we have employment.
Violet Songolo, a single mother of 3, had been desperately searching for a job when she found her luck at MAP.
I'm a divorcee, I have 3 children, and I suffered a lot. But here, as I found a job, now I'm okay. I was not able to feed my children, even to take them to school, but as now I can even take them to school, pay their school fees, even the rentals. I really appreciate Mr. Mohan, the director.
I didn't come as a teacher. It was during COVID-19 when I was like almost jobless, I can say. As you know, private schools were not getting anything because of COVID. So I just came as a general worker looking for a job. That's how they found out that I'm a teacher. That's how I was employed. I'm teaching the circumstantial children in female maximum prisons, and the children are 8.
There is a lot of stigma attached to inmates who are pardoned or discharged from correctional facilities. But how do they feel working for an inmate?
A very good person indeed. Yeah, he has really helped. He's given us quite a good number of lectures. Yes, and he has given us an inspiration in that, seeing what he has built here, being an inmate, what of us who are outside?
Yeah, it's just okay. Yes, they are just like us. Yes, and he's a very good man. Yes, he has helped us a lot. He has even helped even those who were employed before us.
What you see behind me is what is called the Theatre of Dreams. Now, it is built right next to the country's largest correctional facility, Mukobeko Maximum Correctional Facility. This place has been created by someone who has been incarcerated in these wars. Now, this just goes to demonstrate that just because one has been in prison, their mind should not be imprisoned. Youths alike from the community are coming to this place to get inspiration and to be motivated by an inmate who regrets their action.
The Theatre of Dreams is decorated with artistic pieces done by inmates, and each picture tells a different story. What happens in this Theatre of Dreams?
If people think money is powerful, money has got nothing to do with power. Relation of capital has got something to do with what? With power. Now, if you look at the word power and you take the word P and R, the word which remains in between power is what? O. In Congo? So if you think you've got power, that power is not yours, you owe it to someone. We have now been officially given the mandate to start dispersing this empowerment fund that we have created as an initiative. So we are almost creating a 1 million kwacha empowerment fund, breaking it into 200, 250, 200, 250, like that, to empower groups. We are intending to build fish farms for 40 youths somewhere. We are intending to build an exact concept like this for the other entrepreneurship class that has gone. And for you people, we are creating this entrepreneurship thing to set up businesses for you so that you can become self-sustaining. After we finish there, we're building a plant for the extraction of essential oils. How much more should you use this empowerment to build your lives and to build those that are around you?
Youths from around the communities as well as universities come here for inspiration. Ironically, this is a place which is perceived to be for condemned people. But, as you have seen in this story, even people behind bars can inspire those who are perceived to be free.
Something beautiful that happens with incarceration is that it's not all bad. For me, it was a necessary detour. I've enjoyed every moment of my incarceration.
How so?
I'll tell you why. You can't define to me what should make me happy. No one should define to you what should make you happy. That is being pretentious. What makes someone happy is what he perceives life to be. When I walked in here, I smiled throughout. I'll tell you something. I call it a necessary detour. It's part of life.
So you've never sat...
I have never wasted... Look, how many things have you lost in your life? And you would have wished not to have lost it. Are you in control of what you can lose? Today you can even lose your life. Right now, you and I can lose our lives. We lose a lot of things in life. But that turns us back to what value do you... Is it that you placed all your value around a TV set? Or a furniture in your house? What is the true value? The true value is what you do to lift people up. And that to me has been a beautiful revelation when coming to incarceration. And to me, I'll tell you something, incarceration has brought me to my purpose. And if God didn't allow this process, I would have never known my purpose.
Are you saying you are a much better person here than you were before coming here?
If you don't know your purpose in life, are you a better person? What makes you better is when you know your purpose. There are people who would finish their entire career playing football, yet it wasn't their purpose. There are people who would actually end their lives being journalists, yet you would have done better being a doctor. I chose to go through the process. And the process of identifying what's your purpose. If today I was taught that would you be happy if you were released a year ago? I will tell you no. Because I feel better even a year after. I feel I've achieved even more a year after. If I was told, Matthew, if you were released 5 years ago, don't you think you'd have been excited? Oh my God, today I'll tell you never. I wouldn't have created 100 jobs for people. Do you know the beauty of putting a smile on the table of someone? Can you imagine? We are seated. I have a team of 10 people that I put together. Various groups. Electricians, carpenters, bankers, accountants. Put them together. And then can you imagine? While at 21 hours you are being locked in. The one who is locking you, his child is working at that project. Earning a salary. Putting food on the table of the jailer.
That's it for the digest. We hope that that story has inspired you in one way or another. Remember that you can get in touch with us by writing to us at documentaries@diamondtvzambia.com. I'm Francesca. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.